We are live. Welcome to Don't Die. I got my buddy Anthony Graffeo here, the CEO and founder of Ungovernable, the best tallow in the game.
Thank you.
Face cream as well. I love this stuff. And
You're glowing.
yeah. And you're also my main news source.
I love it.
The only news source I trust.
Yeah, I mean, someone's got to do it nowadays because the media is just completely complicit on trying to turn us all gay.
Yeah, they're trying to start a government buyback program for our dicks, it seems like.
Straight up,
seems like that's the goal.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Let the window open. Shit. Hey, at least the audio is working.
Yeah, we're in two timelines right now.
So, did you see Ryan Garcia last night?
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
The only thing I will say is that he shouldn't have posted like 5 girls from OnlyFans that said he was going to marry prior to this, because it makes it look a lot. And going on the Patrick Bet David show, he was like all like definitely on yak, like he looked like he was like coked up. But I could say that he was doing that because he's traumatized by what happened to him, because people different traumas react to people in different ways, right? So he could have actually been brought to Bohemian Grove and watched little kids get
Yeah, I think it's true.
I do too. I believe it.
I mean, after the kind of information that you and I have both uncovered, it's like it fits the, I don't want to say narrative, the anti-narrative.
Yeah.
What they're trying to hide.
Yeah.
If it just ties in exactly to all that stuff.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I think like the floodgates are open right now. You got the Diddy stuff coming out. You got him now, Ryan Garcia chirping. I don't know if you saw I posted, but there's a documentary coming out called Quiet on the Set. It comes out March 17th of Drake Bell is blowing the whistle on Brian Peck, who is one of the people at Nickelodeon that he got essayed by.
Is he related to Josh Peck?
I don't know. That's where,
because that was the other dude,
that's the
Drake
dude
and
on the show.
Yeah.
And they kind of look alike, Brian Peck and Josh Peck. It could be like his uncle or something, but we know Dan Schneider and like all that stuff with Nickelodeon. Look at Amanda Bynes. I mean, it's pretty clear of what happened to her. I mean, she is completely fried at the moment.
Yeah, and then another thing with the Ryan Garcia stuff is what was that dude's name? Aaron, the pop singer from the 90s.
Aaron Carter?
Yeah, Aaron Carter.
Yeah.
He got suicided for sure.
Oh, 100%.
And it's the people who want to say that he's like going crazy and stuff. To me, it seems as a reaction to, like what you said, a reaction to what happened, as opposed to inducing hallucinations.
No, 100%. Yeah.
And you've listened to a good amount of Jordan Peterson, I assume. Yeah. Something I remembered recently was I saw Jordan Peterson was talking about a while back about how there was satanic, ritualistic child trafficking, a lot of claims in the 80s that were tied to daycares. And he was basically like, yeah, that was completely BS. And the kids were just making it up.
Real. That's called the Watchers.
And I mean, Jordan Peterson is siding with a certain country.
Yeah, big time. He's shilling big time for that country right now. Yeah. And that's a proven thing. The Watchers through the daycares that they were trafficking kids. That was Michael Alquino was connected to that, who was like one of the heads of the military intelligence during that time. That's a really deep rabbit hole that like ties all that together. Bohemian Grove, like what Ryan Garcia is talking about. Alex Jones went there how long ago, right? Before Alex Jones was even like a big truther and all that stuff. So Bohemian Grove is 100% a real place that all the elites and presidents and all this stuff go, and they light an effigy that's supposed to be a child in front of a giant statue of people think it's Moloch, but it's actually not. So Moloch is the bull, Minerva is the owl. People get that like mixed up. So what they do is they sacrifice to Minerva, which is like the god of wisdom or whatever.
Have you seen the owls downtown in Austin? There's 2 owl statues on top of like a dodecahedron.
Really?
And the way the eyes are placed, there's like it's convex, where there's like a clear transparent layer, and then there's pupils back. So as you drive by, the eyes follow you. That's very creepy. It's kind of by Trader Joe's.
Really?
I'm not good with directions, but it's on one of those streets. It's all like passing this little bridge with like a white fence on either side, and then there's these 2 owl statues. They're pretty big, yeah. They're probably like 5-6 feet.
That's pretty big.
I haven't got out of my car. I've just driven past them a bunch.
Maybe that's why like all the murders are happening out here.
And then the Frost Tower is supposedly an owl as well.
Where's Frost Tower?
The main the most iconic tower in Austin. The one that looks like an owl.
Oh, you're talking about like it has like the like spikes or whatever coming out of it. Yeah. They're saying that there's an owl on top of that too.
Yeah, I saw that. Well, no, that is supposed to look like an owl.
It does actually. Now that you say that.
Yeah, and there's the two theories are there's the only two theories I've heard is one of them is the architect went to a rival college where the owl was their mascot, and then the other is Moloch Illuminati.
Yeah, I think I side with else. I side with that one.
Yeah, I mean Austin looks like it's. I mean I love Austin and I love everyone here, but it seems like it's on its way to be a 15-minute city.
It's 100% signed. So the mayor signed that it's going to be a 15-minute city. No, we're not going to allow that. You know, that timeline is never going to be optimal, in my opinion. I'm not a black pillar in any way. I'm more of a white pillar, but I think that they'd have to really kill us for them to turn this into a 15-minute city or hit a do on downtown, just like laser through the comedy mothership. And, you know,
and I think that also, what do you think about Elon?
He's tricky. We'll say that he's tricky. I think that he is playing a role. I think this is my personal opinion on him. I think he was a slave for a long time. Have you ever seen his mom?
Yeah.
His mom is like a total Satanist. She was in the fashion industry for a long time. She rubbed shoulders with like Marina Abramovich, people like that. He had a baby with Grimes, who is straight up Satanist.
He has a trans daughter.
Yeah. I mean, there's like confusing things about him, but I think that that he was activated by people that are like, I think in my personal opinion, it goes a little bit deeper, but I think there's a battle right now between like good people and bad people. And I think that there's like people that are controlling Elon Musk on the good side now that kind of gave him freedom, you know, kind of like Kanye West, like they freed him up and like they battle over him. Like when they sent him to Auschwitz, right? Like you saw that when Elon went to Auschwitz?
No.
Dude, yeah.
I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, they flew him out to Auschwitz. And he walked around with Ben Shapiro and Benjamin Netanyahu. And like they like tried to like make him bend the knee to all that stuff and sympathize and whatever.
Dude, we have so much to go through.
I don't want to get you shut down. Either.
No, I'm not worried about that. I'm just thinking of like Ben Shapiro made me think of Candace Owens.
Yeah.
Candace Owens is getting really close to the truth. She's talking about the Bolsheviks. Yes. And I forgot what else she was talking about, but like she's realizing everything. There's a big noticing going on.
The great white replacement theory. She's big on that.
With the trafficking in all the
Mexican,
South Americans.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mexico is North American, but yeah.
Yeah, whole region.
Latin Americans.
That whole region. Yeah, and also like Somalia and all China. Everybody's coming across the border, dude, honestly.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm about to go across, get some fucking money, a phone, like
just leave and come back. Like, dude, that's kind of how I look at things. Like, let's look at the opportunity in this, right?
Yeah. Let's get some money and a cell phone and fucking sell that thing.
And Venezuela just hit its 22-year lowest crime rate because all the gangsters are coming here.
Yeah,
they're all coming here. That's terrifying.
Yeah, they're gone, dude. It's crazy. I just saw on Tucker Carlson too. He just he has there's this area in Houston. I forget the exact name of it, but there's this huge fucking area in Houston that's all illegal immigrants that they're like literally turned into Mexico. Like every building is in Spanish. Nobody speaks English there. Like it's a whole entire like 10 neighborhoods basically of just illegals in Houston that people are like calling like it's part of Mexico now at this point.
Yeah, and I was catching up with an old friend who is I've seen what they're up to and stuff, just making conversation, and they're saying they're a substitute teacher out in Colorado.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm, like, oh, what's the curriculum like and stuff? And it's like, oh, well, lower like elementary school, so they're teaching everything.
Yeah.
And they're all illegals, low income area, and the curriculum is a big part of it is teaching them how to become citizens.
That's insane.
So that is what the public school system is doing right now.
I believe it.
So it looks, when you think back to the marching with the tiki torches, you will not replace us. It's like, oh my God, like this is all, like the rednecks from 5 years ago with no profile pictures saying how lizards run the world. It's like, okay, well, everything's kind of adding up here.
Yeah.
It's terrifying. And I think with Elon and a lot of other people I think they're allowed to say so much, but then there's like a little bit they can't touch.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even like Andrew Tate's been a big voice.
Yeah.
And even he was on that Spaces on X with Ryan Garcia.
Yeah.
You saw that?
Yeah.
And you could tell he was holding back. He was like, there's a lot I can't say.
Yeah, well, he literally said, he's like, dude, what you're doing is very dangerous. They already came for me for this stuff. Like, you might want to tread lightly. You know, like, he basically said that.
That's coming from him too.
Yeah, which is like, he was saying a lot of stuff. So that makes Ryan's whole thing seem a lot more real, right? It's like, if they're like telling him like, they're going to fucking kill you, basically. Like, if you don't stop doing this, you know?
Yeah.
They're going to try to turn you into the crazy guy first, but if you keep getting bigger and bigger with it, they're going to try to take your ass out.
You see, this is why I try to stay away from chicks with fake tits.
Okay.
Let me explain.
Yeah. Let's hear this.
Kim Kardashian.
Yeah. Demon.
Fake tits.
Yeah.
BBL.
Yeah.
It's a biohacking. It's hacking your biology to become attracted to something that you wouldn't traditionally, thus creating offspring that shouldn't exist. That's a theory.
Transhumanism.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah. I mean, fake tits are like 1 degree away from trans.
Yeah, true.
She breaks Kanye's heart.
Yeah.
Kanye pretty much blew the lid on this whole thing.
Yeah.
His outburst kind of made this whole realization mainstream.
Happened because of him.
Yeah, because ever since then, people have been like, "Oh shit,
damn.
Kanye was right about this."
Yeah.
Oh man, and then you start looking into what was happening in Germany in the 1930s with Magnus Hirschfeld.
Yeah.
The first transgender surgeon.
Yes.
And what books they were burning about him wanting to increase the amount of trans people and encouraging child prostitution. And it's like, holy shit, every world war has been about the same thing.
Yeah. Literally.
And it's like, you know, none of us want to be racist, but also being able to detect patterns with color correlations is literally how IQ tests work.
Yeah, it's my autism. Literally, it's like my noticing is the autism. So,
like, I was raised to be accepting of everyone.
Same.
And everyone's equal.
Yeah.
And then you start noticing stuff and you're like, okay, well, there's differences.
Yeah.
There's differences. I mean, yes, everyone should be legally equal. Everyone should have the right to do everything that other people can do.
For sure.
But record label executives can't play basketball.
This is true. This is true. Jimmy Iovine.
It's just crazy. But I mean, if you look at it logistically with morals and emotions completely removed, it's a pretty solid plan.
Yeah.
Invade the US with people that don't have loyalty to this land.
Yeah.
Get them to fight international wars.
Yeah.
And then potentially fight wars against us. You know, come for Americans.
Yeah, Samson effect and all that.
If we don't want to comply.
Yeah.
And it's scary, man. I used to think that human history has always been pretty bad, and it's gradually things have been getting better. It just seems worse because the news is reporting terrible stuff.
For sure.
But now it seems like things are getting worse.
In ways. But
in
there's
a lot of
things
ways.
that are getting good too, because what this does with noticing and with all these
bring the mic a little closer.
Oh, sorry. With all these psyops, with all these psyops and all this stuff, the most important thing is that more people that were asleep to it are seeing it. You know what I mean? And the power is always in the numbers, because those chosen people, they're a lot smaller of a group than the people that they say are going to be their slaves and that we're cattle to and all that stuff. And I don't know if you know Lucas Gage. Lucas Gage is friggin' dude, next level when it comes to the noticing and all this stuff. He's from Jersey. He's one of my, used to go out with him and party with him and stuff. Guy is next level legendary on this topic. And he makes a great point with just Judaism, right? Is that they truly feel that if you're not a part of them, then you're their slave. Like that's their whole entire think tank is like, no matter what you look, whether it's the Talmud or whether it's the Torah or whatever it is, they, no matter what, believe that the Gentiles will be their slaves.
I mean, openly calling yourself the chosen people is supremacy.
Straight up, dude.
There's no other way to interpret that.
Yeah, 100%. And they have like...
But it's weird because I know some very devout Christians, and they also consider the Jews the chosen people.
Those are called Judeo-Christians, and that happened in the 1940s. So what that was is they basically manipulated Christians into believing that we're their allies. Because the number one thing that, if we noticed, is that if Christians and Muslims came together, we have a common enemy, right? Mm-hmm. And that they don't want that to ever happen. But even if you're looking into the Bible, right, there's Revelations 2:9 where Jesus literally says that there's fake Jews and that they are a synagogue of Satan. And that's in our Bible, you know? And I don't think that what people need to realize is when you read the Bible, whether it's the Old Testament or the New Testament, it talks about Israel. The thing is, you have to look into the Khazarians because these people have been kicked out of how many countries, right? We don't know if they are truly the ones that are supposed to be in that land. The only reason that they're in that land is because of the Balfour Agreement. And in 1940, the Rothschilds purchased the land. So one of the biggest enemies to the common people is the Rothschild family. So these are the people that purchased that land and created this scenario of saying that this is their land, this is their people, and we need to obey them, and that they're the chosen ones, and God loves them more than us, and da 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 da. And I'm a Christian, big time. I read the Bible. I'm a devout Christian. I don't believe that, dude. I think that there's a psyop that has been ran on the American people and on people of the world to believe that this is a truth that's not true. And, you know, you look into 9/11, for example. 9/11 was their perfect scenario to create the hate of the Muslims. Like, oh, them towel heads, we got to go and blow them suckers up. But in reality, they're the ones that set it up. Larry Silverstein took out an insurance policy a day before the freaking towers got hit, that 2 planes were going to hit his building. Netanyahu was all over the place saying, oh, there's going to be an attack in America. It's going to happen in New York City and the Twin Towers. They told us that it was them. And bin Laden was a part of the friggin' FBI. He was Tim Osmond. His father was meeting with Bush Sr. the day 9/11 happened. So all these people orchestrated together and created this entire psyop to believing that we have to hate Muslim people. When if you read the Quran, in the Quran, it literally says that Jesus is the most quoted prophet, that if you don't respect Jesus, you don't respect Allah. You can't even be a part of Islam if you don't respect Jesus. Now, if you look in the Talmud says that Jesus is burning an excrement in hell. So who really is our friend when it comes to Christianity and when it comes to the understanding of the respect of God?
Yeah. And also, I think even within their society, there's still like an elite and psyop going. They're psyoping their own people.
Of course.
Because I don't think most of them even realize this is happening. They just hear little tidbits of like things you and me say, and they're like, that's hateful and anti-Semitic.
Yeah.
And I think if they really did the research, they would realize that all these dots line up
100%.
And then it's not hatred for no reason. It's not even hatred at all. It's just noticing these patterns. And just because every other group of people Asians admit they are bad drivers.
Yeah.
Black people admit that they steal. Okay. I'm not going to say all black people steal. Some black people steal. So some of them control the media.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
It's not hatred. It's just look at the facts.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
And I think what's funny is that it's kind of rooted in laziness.
For sure.
It's like, well, we don't want to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're going to get
slaves,
the Mexicans to do the work.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally.
Yeah.
Which again, it's smart. It's a good plan for them. But even with the tunnels in New York, I have a joke about that. I'm like, isn't that crazy that they did manual labor?
Yeah.
And the joke was, their only way they're doing that is they get a dude named Manuel to do the labor. And then the next day after I made that joke, turned out they hired
You were right.
the migrants. I was right. Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy.
That's incredible.
A lot of my comedy is, it gets to a point where it's just like, wait, this is true.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like you're predicting timelines.
Yeah. Yeah. And comedy is another, it's, very predominant in that.
Yeah.
They had roots in that too. I feel like it's kind of like a safeguard. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like a lot of my speech is protected as a comedian.
For sure.
Because it's I'm joking about everything.
Yeah.
I don't mean any of this, you guys. This is all a joke.
This is all a joke.
But
Seinfeld, right?
Yeah.
He's the one that like probably set up that like perimeter for comedians to be protected under noticing.
But the problem is there's no accurate way to call out the perpetrators without subjecting an entire group to the criticism.
There is, but it's
requires education.
Yeah, deep education.
Like when you say Khazarians, people are like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly. That's like a very deep education. You know, you look into like you were talking about before, the Bolsheviks. Like the Romanov family were Christians and they were killed by the Jewish Bolsheviks. Like the leaders of the Bolsheviks were Jewish. It was Lenin, what's Hasinski or whatever, the other guy. Like they basically psyoped an entire army into believing that, oh, the Romanovs are the ones we got to kill and da-da-da. And it's like, it's kind of like the same story that happens with the Titanic, right? Where it's like they killed John Jacob Astor, they killed Isidor Straus, they killed Guggenheim because they were the ones that were like, no, we don't want a central bank. We don't want you guys doing this thing. And they've been doing that all over the place until they got in the power that they've had to this day, where they went to Jekyll Island, they created the central bank, and now Janet Yellen is just pulling all the strings as a little like friggin' whatever the hell she is, lizard, just saying Janet Yellen. She was the one that is in control of the Federal Reserve. She's like she has like gray hair. She's like a little fat like thing. Probably if you've seen her, but she's
the head of the Federal Reserve.
Yes, yeah,
okay.
Janet Yellen. She works for the Biden regime. But basically, you know, when you call, the funny thing is, right, to me, with all this like whole scenario with Gaza, is all the leftists are the ones that are the one noticing the hardest because they're seeing like the genocide on a whole entire spectrum that Judeo-Christians and Republicans that are completely psyoped by that can't see. Like when I put up a post about Gaza, I put up, oh, turn that place into glass, kill every towel head over there. Like people are still on that 9/11 timeline of being psyoped. But then you have all these leftists, like the same ones that like they were saying all cops are bastards, are the ones that are like, fuck Israel.
What's funny is they called October 7th Israel's 9/11.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, that's a bad thing to say.
Yeah.
So you guys invented PR and you can't even do your like.
Exactly.
I remember there was an Onion article that said Al-Qaeda's plot to just sit back and watch America destroy itself. It's like,
no,
that it's like they're kind of just exposing themselves. It's like,
yeah,
they can't even like help it. And,
yeah.
And they're so obsessed with narrative control and stuff like blood libel.
Well, sure.
The word libel
means
lie.
Yeah.
So before you even know what that is,
yeah,
you're like, oh, well, it's a lie.
Exactly.
And then I'm sure you're familiar with that. This is going to get me fucking kicked off YouTube.
We're sorry.
Is
there a way to say it in code maybe?
Yeah, let's just leave out the 3-letter word and the country.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. We could say J's. Maybe not that either.
This is my. I've been kicked off 2 times.
Susan, we're sorry.
I've been kicked off 3 times for the same thing.
Yeah. That should tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
You're over the target.
Yeah, I have another joke I do on stage. Where I'm like, isn't it funny how they said Kanye was like, they run the banks, and then they were like, no, we don't, and they canceled his bank account.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, be less obvious.
Yeah.
But the blood libel was a myth and a lie that they would take Christian children and do blood sacrifices on them.
Yeah.
And let's play devil's advocate literally.
Yeah.
And say that is a lie.
Yeah.
Well, it's true now.
Yes.
What was Epstein doing? Ghislaine, what country do they belong to?
And who they work for.
Yeah, but why? Why do you think they're doing this? Why do you think the child sacrifice exists?
It goes back into the Bible. You look at the bloodline of the Canaanites. The Canaanites were doing this for a very long time. They were under Mount Hermon, which was known as Pan's Cavern, and they were sacrificing children. They were sacrificing children to Moloch, which was a giant effigy of a bull with hands that they would light on fire, and they would burn the kids on. So this is something that's been going on for a very, very long time.
Is that the same as the golden calf?
Yes.
The false idol?
Yes. Yeah, the golden calf is Moloch.
Okay.
They've been worshiping that for, as you know, a very long time.
So my theory is that some supernatural power loves murder.
The devil.
Maybe God. I'm not a Christian.
Yeah, it's fine.
You
got Ned Flanders on, so.
Flanders of Guadalupe. I believe in the Anunnaki, and I think God is a fractal hologram of information and light, and I think that good and evil are created by humanity.
Okay.
But I mean, there's some things that are like unquestionably bad. Like just most people prefer laughter over crying.
Yeah.
So it's I'm still not really sure, but it seems that God rewards murder. And I think that is because there's a little piece of God in every living thing. So when you kill them, it returns a piece of God back to himself, and you're given powers for that. Which my proof of that is the biggest murderers who don't get caught have the most power.
Sure.
And every elite, all the leaders of every civilization ever have done human sacrifice. And like even Richard Ramirez, the Night Stalker, they don't talk about this a lot, but I think Ted Bundy.
Yeah, he's a smart guy.
A lot of these serial killers were doing black magic.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And that was a big part of why they wanted to kill.
Yeah,
it wasn't just
Crowley
like
stuff and all that.
Yeah, and if that's true, then like, what kind of fucking God created this?
So this is where I'm gonna.
Let me add one more thing.
Okay, of course, yeah, of course.
So, killing someone, I think you would agree that is demonic,
for sure,
unprovoked.
Yeah,
of course,
for sure,
not
for sure.
self-defense.
Yeah,
there's reasons to kill,
of course.
But now let's look at animals. When a lion stalks his prey and rips open a zebra and eats it while it's still alive, that looks pretty demonic as well. Would you call that demonic?
No.
So what is the difference between animals and humans doing it? Or
we
part
have
of Christianity?
We have higher authority over animals. God gave us authority over animals. So that's really what it comes down to. We love animals. Like I wouldn't go and kill my dog, but we have higher authority over them. We have dominion over them. In Genesis, it talks about we have dominion over all the beasts of the earth.
I was thinking about it last night when that puppy would not.
No. Moloch.
Yeah, I was thinking about it, dude. I was like, I need to sleep, man.
I need to build
a
tunnel.
This puppy last night, you guys.
Yeah, it's really cute.
This is adorable.
But I think also where I want to talk about where you were talking about with God and loves murder, it's because Satan. It says in the Bible too. Satan is the god of this world. He has dominion over. He's the prince of the power of the air. So yes, they get power in this form, but if I'm not trying to interject to my religion on you or anything like that. I believe whatever you want to believe is what you believe. But if there is a heaven, right, and that is against God's law, like the God of heaven, not the God of this earth, then there's going to be, punishment to pay for that.
Why would they keep doing it then?
Who?
These people that are.
Well, they killed the Messiah. They killed the Messiah. They already killed.
Why would
God.
they subject if they're practicing these things? Clearly, they are in the informed minority that know things that we don't. So why would they be willing to spend an eternity in hell? Why would they want to risk that? So,
okay, for example, right, Aleister Crowley. We'll go into him. Aleister Crowley, when he was on his deathbed, he said, "This can't be like what's going on. This is not what I was told." Basically, he saw hell. Another one was the guy that found the Church of Satan, Anton LaVey. He said the same kind of thing. Like, what is this? This is not what I was told. So they had an extreme regret after they were killed or died or whatever. So it comes down to more of the fact that they have the knowledge of this earth. And that's what, like, you go into Adam and Eve, she ate from the tree of knowledge. And all knowledge that comes from earth is not the wisdom from God, right? So when you have true wisdom from God, that's what your heart is, right? Like why you love your dog, why you are nice to some certain people. And that's because your heart is created from God, right? That's where your conscience comes in and all that stuff. And that is a level of what these people don't have. What it says in the Bible is their hearts are hardened to God. So murder and rape and all the things that they do, it doesn't play in their mind like it would if you were to have sex with a child, which you obviously would never do because your conscience would not allow you to do that, right? But they don't have a conscience like that. They don't have a heart like that. God can't even search their heart. Like you can have any representation of what you think God is, but you always know that there's good and evil, like you said. Maybe it's a human condition or whatever you think, but there still is a good and evil and an understanding of a consciousness. And your consciousness won't allow you to do that, right? But there's will.
Yeah, I mean, I think in practice we live the similar ways. Like I believe in the teachings of Jesus.
Yeah.
I try to live by the teachings of Jesus.
Yeah.
And also I want to throw this in there.
Yeah.
666,
yeah.
the mark of the beast.
Yeah.
We are carbon-based life
forms. I believe that too.
Carbon
human
is the atomic number 6.
Yeah.
Protons, neutrons, electrons, 666.
Oh yeah, I know that.
That's interesting.
Yeah, for sure. That's humans are the beast at the end of the day. It's when we change our DNA with the 666, that's what the beast will change our DNA. We'll change our humanness, right? And that's what people with the mRNA and all that stuff, like what they're doing. And like I said, man, like the Anunnaki, I used to be really deep into all that stuff, the Anunnaki and all that. And it wasn't until I read the book of Enoch when I realized that the Anunnaki and the Greek gods and the Egyptian gods and all this stuff, they're fallen angels. They're like, it's the same representation because Enoch was before even Noah. That was actually Noah's grandfather. And he was a prophet that walked with God. He went to heaven with God and he saw all the angels fell. And when the angels fell, they made it with the daughters of men and they created Nephilim. The Nephilim are giants. And that's why God actually flooded the earth, is because there were giants walking around. There were abominations all around. And because these fallen angels, these Anunnakis, these sky gods, whatever you want to call them, they were giving humans information. And they were like the Anunnaki stories, Zechariah Stinch and all that stuff, like how we were created by them and da-da-da-da-da. We weren't created by them, but they were creating. And they were creating abominations. They were creating giants. That's what they created. We're not the creation that the Anunnaki created. If we were, it would be giant. God flooded them out. And there's still some, I believe, here. Like, have you ever heard of like the giant of Kandar in Afghanistan? There was like super soldiers that were like on a mission, and they went into a cave, and there was a giant that came out and stabbed one of them with a friggin' giant like spear, and it had long orange hair. And they believe that even gingers to this day have that DNA from the Nephilim, from the fallen angels.
Yeah, so I think we were genetically modified by aliens.
I understand that.
I think the Anunnaki created us as slaves, which is
the gold and all that stuff. I read it.
I think humanity is a giant pyramid scheme. And I don't think God created humans. I think God created something that created us.
Okay.
And I guess that's where we differ.
Yeah, no worries.
But like in the Bible, when it says God said, "I'm a jealous God, you shall worship no one but me."
Yes.
That same line was in the Sumerian tablets, which predates Christianity by 20 to 30,000 years.
Yeah.
And said by one of the Anunnaki or Nephilim dudes, Marduk.
Yeah, I heard of Marduk. Yeah.
So how do you believe that the word in the Bible is the word of God when the same words were used prior to spoken by these Anunnaki fallen angels?
Well, because the Bible is something that was set up, right, by man. And these things were all found at all different times. And you have to understand, like, you look at the what is it called? The Samsonite? No, it's Smithsonian. I'm sorry. The Smithsonian, they are the ones that created the whole dinosaur theory and because they hid the bones of the Nephilim. So really, in reality, we don't know anything about our true timeline. They could say, oh, the earth is 1 billion years old, and we would have no idea because we weren't there. At any point in time, when these people that took power, they could have changed anything that they wanted to. They could have been like, the Anunnaki were here before Jesus and the God and da-da-da-da-da, because they are the ones that can manipulate anything. Just like it's history is his story. So they can take anything that they want. But Jesus is the most recorded person in history. Like there's proof and solid evidence that he was who he was. And yes, they found the what was the Gilgamesh, the thing that the Sumerians believe in.
Epic of Gilgamesh.
Alchemic of Gilgamesh.
That was the Noah's Ark story.
Yeah, and what's the other one? There's another one. The something Elif.
The
Enuma-Elish. There you go. Like those things were also found, but like I said, if you read the Book of Enoch, it ties into the same story. So you have the same story kind of reflecting in religion, in all these different things, and there's a spiritual aspect to all of it. But the question is the real question is, do you believe that just because the story was told about the Anunnaki, do you believe that they were actually the ones to create you?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Because
I respect whatever you feel, brother. I'm not going to judge you for it.
I was gonna try to make a point, and I'm forgetting it because there's so much I'm thinking. All of those texts that describe the creation of humanity, they say nothing about God or the creation of the universe.
Not. They would never do that.
So I find that interesting.
They're fallen angels.
No mention of God.
They're the ones that are going against God. Lucifer was the one that told them.
They're masquerading as gods.
Yeah, exactly. Lucifer was like, don't worry, guys, we're God. Don't listen to God, we're God. And that's what he's doing to this day. He's trying to make people feel like we're God. We're God. We're able to do that. In the Bible, it says we are gods. Like we have a part of God in us, so we can create, we can do all this stuff. But in reality, we're not at that level of God. Like you can't go and create a planet right now. You can't go and do all that stuff. You can make a life if you have a child, but you can't go out in your front yard and be like, here's a tree.
Well, according to the Sumerian tablets, the Anunnaki capped our lifespan at 120 years by adding telomeres to the 22nd chromosome, because the Tower of Babel showed that if we live too long, we can accomplish too much and we can outpower the Anunnaki.
Okay, so perfect segue there, right? So the Anunnaki were already taking a creation that was already created, and then they changed it. You just said that, right? Mm-hmm. They put a telomere on us to stop us, because in the Bible, people live to like 900 years old. They lived a lot longer. So that means that something created something first, right?
I think it was an active tweaking and manipulation, and I think that's where races come from.
Well, possibly. I'm not debating that there may have been some genetic deformation at some point that these fallen angels tried to put into our system, and we definitely, the telomere thing, I 100% agree in, because there's I don't know if you ever heard of med beds. You ever heard of med beds? So med beds is like this new technology that they're going to be coming out with that actually stretches your telomeres, that is going to make people live a longer life. There's a company in Sweden that actually Trump went to and visited, that they have these med beds that people are going to live longer lives. There's going to be cures and all this stuff.
Didn't they also do the suicide pods? Sweden?
Oh yeah. They just want
to just go either way. You want to live forever? You want to die now?
Your choice. But what comes with that, what you said about the telomeres and all that stuff, it's like, to me, that sounds like they were trying to manipulate what God already created. Now, maybe we're not at the full form of what he created, and there's been so much manipulation down the line from the Anunnaki to where we are now with freaking Pfizer. But there was something that created us in his image. So I believe we were created in the image of God, not in the image of the Anunnaki. If we were, we'd look like Enki and Enlil. We don't.
I think we do.
Do you?
Yeah.
Where's your freaking wings at, dude?
Well, I think that was part of the disguise.
Oh, they clipped it?
I think they were literally in costumes, looking like God.
So you think they were just like, well, which is interesting,
because there was 7 Anunnaki. There's arguably 7 races. Like you can plus or minus. There's about 7 very distinct races.
Yeah.
Each of them made in the image of their creator.
So do you believe that like Enki was like a Jesus-like figure? Because Enki was the one that freed them, right? Was like he went against Enlil, and I don't know the full story like by heart, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was, right?
I think the Jesus-like figure was Thoth.
Thoth.
Do you know about Thoth?
That's Thoth, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where thought comes from.
Yeah.
So he was a human.
That's the bird, though. Like he had a bird head.
The head of an ibis.
Yes.
He was also known as Hermes.
Yeah,
in
Hermes.
Greek mythology.
Yeah, the Book of Thoth. Yeah, I've heard of this. Yeah.
And the Hermetic texts and the Emerald Tablets of Thoth.
Yes.
Were both essentially words create reality.
Yeah.
And that's where manifestation and affirmation come from.
It's also in the Bible too. What you reap is what you sow. You can speak it into existence.
So I think that was the closest to Jesus. Also, some say Horus too.
Have you ever read the book? It's by Manly P. Hall, The Secret Teachings of All Ages. You'd actually love that book. It's like everything that you're talking about. It's like a book this thick, and it's like all occultic practices and teachings and all this stuff. And it talks about like the Book of Thoth and all these things, the Anunnaki. And the thing is, where I don't want to like, talk shit on it, but it's like that's what all the Freemasons believe is all that stuff.
Really?
Oh yeah, that's like everything. They believe in all this occultic practice and all these things. So it's kind of like, it's almost like aligning yourself with like what these people think. But I'm not saying that you're wrong about what you're thinking. I just think that there's more to the story that we both don't know.
Yeah.
If we could agree on that, right?
For sure. I'm always subject to changing my opinions and my perspectives.
Yeah, for sure.
And I've swayed a lot in the years. I'm not dead set on anything. This is just the theory that makes the most sense to me.
I understand that.
Evolution doesn't make sense to me.
Definitely not real.
Terrence McKenna, stoned ape hypothesis, psychedelics caused us to gain consciousness. Sounds cool. That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, no.
And he was flipped by the CIA.
Oh yeah, he was definitely completely controlled.
Near the end of his life, he was an operative.
For sure.
He was caught smuggling hash internationally.
Yeah, I remember
and
that.
Did not spend any prison time.
Yeah, he was used for the psychic revolution and all that stuff, which was completely a psyop too, like the Summer of Love and all that, like in the 60s, Laurel Canyon.
Because the way I see it, I feel like the elites are trying to. So, with my whole Anunnaki thing, I believe we're all gods and we could create a planet given enough time. And that's why I believe in treating people with respect, because I'm God, you're God, I'm going to treat other gods with respect, that kind of thing.
Okay.
But I don't know.
I get what you're saying. I mean, like, and let me tell you something. I was the most like new age, like completely against the Bible. I thought that the Council of Nicaea manipulated it and all this stuff. And I'll tell you some crazy spiritual experience that happened to me. Like the one that happened to me most recently is when I started reading the Bible again. I was new age at the time. I was doing ketamine like all the time. And my friend sent me this meditation, and the meditation was by Dr. Tad James. Dr. Tad James is like a huge, like psychoactive, what's that called? Like, what is it called when you like put somebody like in a trance?
Hypnotist.
Yes, he's a hypnotist. And he has these like really deep meditations. I was meditating all the time. I was meditating with like the higher angels and Anunnaki and believing all this stuff. Okay. And completely against the Bible. And I do this meditation, and the meditation is called the higher beings that are watching over you or whatever, right? So I get into the meditative state. I'm like K'd up, whatever. And I believe when you're doing different psychedelic drugs, you're removing a veil that's between this world and the spiritual world, right? If you want to call it the third heavens, whatever. So I do this meditation, and then all of a sudden this being approaches me, right? And the being is humongous. It's like the size of a skyscraper. And it tells me not to be afraid. And it's scary. And it has the head of a human, a lion, an ox, and an eagle. And it has like all these crazy wings.
This was before you read the Bible, right?
It's before I read the Bible.
Yeah, okay.
It's before I read the Bible. So it comes up to me. It's like, brother, we've been watching over you, da-da-da. Like tells me all this stuff. Then this other angel comes and it lands in front of me. It has like rainbow, like crazy wings. And it looks back at me and it tells me, like, you need to know who you are, right? So I come out of that, and months later, like, I start talking to Christian people, like, you just need to read the Bible, like, da-da-da. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to check it out, whatever. Like, I have a mind where my autism, I decode things, and, like, just like you probably do, right? So I'm like, I'm going to decode the Bible, right? So The first, and I just like, I'm just gonna do it randomly. I'm just gonna open up to a book and let it lead me or whatever, right? The first book I open up to is the book of Ezekiel, right? And in the book of Ezekiel, Ezekiel's approached by that exact same being, and that being is called the cherubim, and that is actually one of the throne protectors of God. And from there, I was like, okay, like, what's up? This seems pretty real, right?
Yeah. I'm getting chills.
Yeah, it was wild. It was insane, bro. It was literally insane.
Also, I remember what I was going to say.
Yeah.
So if we're all gods, I feel like organized religion is meant to make us believe that we are not gods. So they act as the gatekeeper to reach God, when really God is in us. And if we were all aware that we were God, then everyone would be living like me. I do whatever I want all the time.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like I need to work for anyone.
Yeah.
And if everyone was like me, I don't think society could function.
For sure. I don't believe in organized religion at all. I think organized religion is the biggest psyop ever. They're the devil in like pure form.
Especially so do you pick and choose what you believe in the Bible?
I go to a non-denominational church, and my church just believes in the Bible. Like, my pastor's married, has kids. It's not like a Catholic church where it's like the Vatican, which is right now being exposed for like wanting to marry gay people and all the things that are going on. My church is just, they're Bible believers, and it's not about I pick and choose from what the Bible is. I just read it with a spiritual eyes, and I just let God speak to me through it. Like I said, if you have a mind like I have a mind, you can read the Bible, and there's so many lessons and so many different things that will just like it's quantum, it's alive. Like, there's a power to it. I don't care what anybody says. There's a power to it, and it's one of the, like, if you're believing in all these other things in a deep sense, I'm telling you, like, if you open up the Bible and you just start to read it, and you start to, like, the epistles, for example, the epistles is like Galatians, Colossians, Romans, and these are all stories from Paul. And Paul used to be a Jew that used to persecute Christians and kill them. His name was Saul, and he didn't believe in God at all. And he had an experience where he lost his eyesight, and he saw the Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit, Jesus told him to go to Damascus, and there would be people waiting for him there. And he got his eyesight back. And once he got his eyesight back, he was one of the people that wrote most of the New Testament. And some of his lessons in the New Testament are just so powerful. And it's just like, it gives you an understanding far past what the human mind can understand when it comes to God. And then you start to tie in all this other stuff. And it like, I forget what Jordan Peterson said, but there's like so many thousands of references that cross in the Bible that all connect. That would be like impossible for anything to be even like that, like, dynamic and so deep. And it's just like, all of this stuff that we know about organized religion is, you're right, it's to manipulate us to be weak. But in a deeper sense, it does say that in the Bible that God is in us. So the things that you're already saying are in the Bible,
Have you read the Quran?
I haven't read it, but there's very, very similar lessons in the Quran that have to do with understanding God.
So I really want to read the Quran, because that is the least translated religious document.
Yeah.
Like, it's been pretty much like the Bible's been, changed a lot over the years, but the Quran has remained the same for like 1,000 years or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I find that very interesting.
So interesting thing about the Quran is that in the end times in the Quran, Jesus comes back. Jesus is the one that kills the Antichrist in the Quran.
That's fascinating that Muslims and Christians both love Jesus.
That's what I'm saying, man.
I feel like
I don't want to come in here and try to, like, Christ, like, smother you with it, but just try reading the Bible sometime, man. Just like open up to like the gospel and just like read what Jesus did and all that stuff.
I've read a good amount of the Bible.
That's good. That's good.
I have, and that's how I know, like, the teachings of Jesus are how we should be living.
For sure.
And I've also read the Talmud a little bit, and
it's horrible.
It's horrible, but also there's some parts that are so funny because they're like
blatant.
They're just so Jewy.
Yeah.
Like, I don't remember a specific, but like, I'm gonna give an example. It's like, well, if you have bread and then a poor person needs bread, like, you can give him a little bit, but not too much, because you need to save some for later.
Yeah.
It reads in that tone. It's like, man.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's parts also where it says, like, if you could steal from a Gentile, basically, and doesn't matter because they're cattle. So it's like interesting to where you see like what they think of us compared to what the Muslims think of us, which is like we have to respect them because we have a
people
similarity within Jesus. Yeah,
Muslims see both sides as people of the book.
Yeah, I don't agree with Muhammad though. Muhammad was a pedophile, so
Yeah.
I mean, we got to say that for what it is. He dated a 9-year-old.
Yeah.
So I mean, just like how it says in the Talmud, you can sleep with a 3-year-old. I don't agree with either.
Yeah. I think it says that having sex with a 3-year-old is tantamount to poking them in the eye with a finger.
Yeah,
that's pretty brutal.
Yeah.
And then not to mention the mestiza bapé, which is drinking the blood out of the circumcised baby.
Yes, they still do that to this day.
Yeah. And man, I got like 5 minutes.
No, it's cool, bro.
Let's talk about how's business going.
Everything's good, man. I mean,
it looks like you're fucking killing it.
Yeah, we are. It's crazy.
It's just you and your girl?
It's just me and my girl. Yeah. We've cornered a market that we're just absolutely capitalizing on because when we started this whole thing, there's a lot of skin companies that are using tallow, right? Van Man's huge. Like there's a bunch of people out there, but no one really surrounded the food aspect of it. There's Epic, right? There's a couple companies, but no one surrounded it like we surrounded it.
And you had an existing fan base on Instagram, right?
Yeah.
Like you had a lot of followers when I found you. How did you gain that following?
I've been doing this a long time, man. I've been awake for 20 years. I've just been I'm from Jersey. When I was in Jersey, I was just like a club kid. I was always at like Pasha in New York City. So I've always known a lot of people, always had like a circle like that. But like during like the QAnon stuff, I started doing like Q posts and decoding and all that stuff. And it like got me a lot of people to follow because I was finally in a place where I was able to speak to people that would believe me instead of like thinking I'm crazy. So for so long, it's like you try to tell people about like the Illuminati. Like I've been doing it since like literally since I was 12 years old. I've been telling my parents like there's a new world order, there's this, there's that. And like, you're crazy. And finally it started to click. And like after Trump got elected that like, okay, there's an Illuminati, there's a deep state, there's all this stuff. And I started to do the Q stuff and like I built a following off of that.
And your product ties in completely to your message.
100%.
Which is, I mean, I took the opposite approach. Honestly, I'm going to say I made a bit of a mistake and betting on the wrong side with the cricket stuff. I was like, oh, it looks like the left, they're taking over. I'll get their money.
Yeah.
And now it's gotten to the point where I've been like, do I really want to be on this side of history?
Yeah.
I really don't think eating insects is bad.
There's protein to it.
It's very healthy. But it's the whole the people it attracts and the implications of the surroundings of it, where it's like, yeah, I think.
Why don't you start a tallow protein bar? I'll hook you up with sources to get the stuff. Like find like a good whey protein, like a grass fed.
Well, I'm getting into Delta 9. Guys.
I saw, dude. I saw you shouted that out, and I saw the post where you're like, it's like microdosing Delta. Yeah, and there's people in the comments like talking ish, and I was just like, come on, it's comedy, bro.
I gotta be honest, dude. I forgot that people get offended by stuff because I'm surrounded by like my people to the point where like I never piss people off unintentionally. And then that started happening, and they're like, you're a terrible person, and I was like, oh,
it will work for you, though. It will work for you because controversy always causes more eyes to come. And then people are like, these fucking people are ridiculous. Like, I'm going to support this guy.
Yeah, but the controversy won't work with the cricket stuff because that's the wrong customer. Like, the people who like the cricket stuff don't like my comedy.
Yeah.
Everyone who likes edibles loves comedy.
Yeah.
The whole point is to make life funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
But,
yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, man, if you want to look into different outlets of doing the protein thing, I'll help you out as much as I possibly could.
All right. I planned this day out terribly.
It's okay.
We got to do a part 2.
No, let's run it up, bro. Anytime. Yeah, I'll come like every 2 weeks and do this with you, bro.
And I'll have some time after so we can make some raps.
Okay, hell yeah. Yeah, let's do it.
All right, bro. Thank you for coming on.
I appreciate it, bro. Let's go.